Yo, what it do? It's your boy No Name. Let's get right into it, y'all. It's morning time. Bonnet on. It's time to get to thinking, y'all. That maybe not thinking as much, more so ranting. But I have some thoughts for y'all today. Build making is a thing that I've been doing for quite some time. It's definitely the thing that most of the people who like are close to me in PoE know that if this motherfucker opens POB, it's dangerous. Don't let him. But it's because I do it a lot and I feel like I'm pretty good at it. And so I feel like I'm pretty qualified to give some thoughts about some things related to builds. And this comment here from Erdbeer and Server kind of ignited one of those thoughts again for me because I've ranted about this before in the past to my friends. And I realized, y'all haven't heard this one yet. And I think it's very relevant because minds are in this space right now where they're so strong that the statement, yeah, most skills are viable, you just have to put them in the minds, is a very relevant statement. And you could have said this for the past year or so, even longer than that, honestly. But right now feels like the peak of saying this statement. And I want to go over why, right? What makes minds so strong that it almost feels like a throw to play skills that could be supported by a mind support without the mind support, you know what I'm saying? So before I get into all that though, if you like what I do here, you like this type of video in particular, like this video lets me know that I need to make more of this, right? You're like, yeah, give me more, give me more. And if you want to see more of what I do on the channel, subscribe, maybe even hit the notification bell if you're feeling frisky. Anyways, back to the video. So minds are so strong and there's a couple main reasons why. Their speed, their efficiency, and they feel fucking good, which that last one is going to come as a shock to you if you're an older player. If you've been playing for a while, the feel good is going to come off weird, but you've probably heard other people talk about it, and I'm going to be another person to talk about that later on. Starting from number one, right? Oh, their speed. What do you mean? So the base mind throwing speed of a character in PoE is 0.3 seconds. I'm now going to give you some numbers to compare that to, right? Hex Blast, the current number one mining skill in the game, in terms of just popularity at the very least, has a cast time of 1 second. Ball Lightning, a historic number one, 0.7 seconds. Firestorm of Meteors, a skill that I've been looking at putting onto mines myself, actually for some other niche regions, 0.75. Notice how much slower all of these options are when self-casted instead of thrown on a mine. And so now you're thinking, well, isn't there like a benefit or like a loss of some sort to mining? Isn't there a benefit to self-casting here? And, I would think so for the most part. But let's take even Ball Lightning at 0.7, right? Or if you think about Exsanguinate Mines, that was a pretty popular league started for this league for mapping, 0.8 cast time, right? All of these skills are 0.7 and faster. Now let's compare this to high impact mine support, for example. We just said that we're at 0.3 cast time, which means that we're already better than half. We're faster than half the cast time of a skill at base, the 0.7 skills at base. And high impact mine only takes off 50% of the damage from the skill. So we cast more than twice as fast and we only do half as much damage. So we're already gaining damage just a little bit in that space. And now we are competing with a full support slot though, right? Supports need to be about 30-ish% or so to be competitive. Oh, it's a good thing that this support says each mine from supported skills applies 2% chance to deal double damage with hits to enemies near it. So that means at 17 mines, which is the standard cap, by the way, for mine throwing, or yeah, 17 mines, I think it is. Maybe it's 15. No. Standard cap is 15. 17 is after taking Saboteur, and Minefield makes it 20. So if you throw 17 mines, Saboteur is just a really commonly taken note. So if you take it, you throw 17 mines, you have 34% chance to deal double damage with hits. That mathematically works out to roughly 34% damage, more damage on average. So we're already at standard support value, but now we've made our skill faster. Okay, so let's keep it rolling because I technically made it faster, but usually we make it slower still. Because I said half the speed, right? But we don't actually play very many mine skills without the following support I'm going to mention, which is minefield support. Minefield support reads half your throwing time and you also throw 5 mines at once. 4 additional means 5 mines at once. So this support is absurd. If you like, if you're thinking about it in your head right now, you're like, what the fuck? Yeah, it is a what the fuck moment. Um, 5 times the damage divided by 2. This is a 2.5 damage times multiplier on your support on your skill for running this gem. It is fucking absurd. And what that translates to is that like now your throwing speed, if you were 0.3 before, now we're 0.6 base. Now remember when I said that these skills were 0.7 at base? We are still faster. We're still 0.1 seconds minimum faster than most of the skills that you've seen people mine with. And now we're also just running a support that over doubles the damage of this gem. For comparison's sake, Trinity was mapped out to be about a 52% at its absolute peak on a build. Sacred Wisp support, the new one that was added, is about 51% at its peak. Ignoring some mechanical interactions, obviously, for these supports. Multi-Strike isn't even that high with support. Mirage Archer for sure isn't. It's actually not even nearly that strong. Barrage support is one of the only supports actually to get into this echelon of strength, and it tends to fall in between 88 and 112%. And so we're talking about a support that is 125% more damage alongside mechanical benefits, right? Barrage gets to 100 or so, but we would say that the mechanical changes from it are actually more of a downside than a benefit. So we're talking about an insanely strong support that still also lets us be faster. And then now speed scaling wise, I will say cast speed is actually a little bit more readily available than mine throwing speed, but it tends to come at a cost of other very valuable stats that mine throwing speed just doesn't somehow run into the same problems with. It has to do with availability on the tree a little bit and the overall value efficiency of the places that you get your throwing speed from. Cast speed, and a lot of times, is isolated in its acquisition, such as the nodes in the middle of the witch tree to the right of EO. There's actually 2 really good cast speed builds that I like to take there from playing a lightning build, especially crackling speed, and I cannot remember the name of the caster mastery one, but those both give a lot of cast speed, but they only give cast speed, right? They only give cast speed, and that's just not particularly efficient when you have so many other nodes you need, which kind of gets me into the second piece when we start to talk about the efficiency of mine characters overall. We talked a little bit about minefield support. We're going to come back to the supports in a second, but I just mentioned the tree thing, and so I want to actually hit on like how efficient miner trees are. Mine trees, outside of like some weird cool cooks and whatnot, tend to follow a very specific pattern, and it's because the mine nodes are all really strong, and they're all located in one particular portion of the tree. So where do you go? There's one particular portion of the tree. You just grab all the mine nodes because they're really, really good. Reservation efficiency for mines, very important stat. You have your ability to throw more mines and do more damage in this one cluster over there. And then you have like throwing speed in the middle. And okay, bada bing, bada boom, some crit nodes. And oh man, just such strong clustering of your mine nodes, as opposed to say like when you're playing a standard caster, you've got to travel a little bit to get all your nodes, right? You know, you've got your fire damage mastery in the witch area, but then like explosive impacts is over closer to Templar. And then like maybe you want to grab divine judgment, and that's over in like even deeper into Templar. But then you're still like out of damage nodes, so you either have to run a cluster or you go branch all the way out into power charge scaling, and now you're thinking about like, oh, I'm gonna go crit, but to go crit, you've got to go shadow side. Like mine trees are very tight, and so you reduce the number of travel nodes that you have to take, and therefore like make your points more efficient that way. And then the clusters themselves are also just extremely broken. Like the clusters, talk about like literal cluster jewels, the medium clusters for trapping mines are one of the only sets to not get like repeatedly nerfed, actually, out of the ones that were at one point really strong or rebalanced or anything. Like they've just been in the state that they've been in for quite some time. And so it makes them extremely high value to get to, especially because they provide you with throwing speed. Favorite stat. But the real strength of mines, like the real power level of mines, is this. Well, the cast time thing is one thing, right? Getting the understanding of the feel of the cast time is one part. But now let's talk about the strength of the supports. Many times when you make a build, you get maybe 1 or 2 archetypally special supports in your build, maybe a third if you're lucky, right? So if you think about like Nightblade, Claw, Lightning Strike, like the Lightning Strike champ that went around a couple leagues back, and is still doing the rounds every so often nowadays. Like Alcohol did it on a Raider recently, right? And you'll see that you get to run Trinity, Nightblade. Those are 2, I guess we'll call them archetypal supports. like our Nightblade is archetypal 100%. Trinity technically is because of its limitations in use case. But the next support is usually like an attack specific support, nothing super special. Could be multi-strike, could be wed, could be an added flat support. You're not looking at anything like actually too deep into like specific limitations on how you use them. Now, for comparison's sake, let's look at mind supports. And it's important to remember that mind supports can be used in tandem with spell or attack supports or weapon supports based on the skill being used, right? So when I am talking about mind supports, we're looking at minefield support, high impact mine, charged mines stand out as your 4-link. Like literally the base 4-link that I used in my Hex Blast video, actually, when I did the 4-stone run. I used this on 2 stones. I switched over to a 5-link, going for my other 2 watch stones. But on the 4-link that I used to kill Eater Exarch, I was just running high impact mine, minefield, charged mines. The regular supports are nowhere to be seen, and it's because the mine supports are so specifically strong. We talked about how strong high impact mine is already. We talked about how strong minefield support already is. We need to talk about charge mine support, because charge mine support, I would say, on some level, breaks a rule, and that's a theme with this and minefield support, is that it kind of breaks what feels like a rule across the board of the other supports of its type. Minefield support can be like into Spell Echo and Multi-Strike, in that it allows you to repeat your skill at the cost of making it slower, making your animation take longer. The only difference is that you can't actually cancel out of minefield making your skill faster, if that makes sense. Like, all 5 of your mines go out at once with minefield. So you can't actually cancel it out. It makes your animation slower, but you can't actually cancel out the chucking of the 5 mines. Comparatively speaking, when we have this same idea, but we talk about, say, like multi-strike. If you don't, your multi-strike, it makes you attack faster, but it also forces you to do or Spell Echo, or forces you to cast twice, right? And you can cancel in the middle, but you then also lose the damage. And you don't actually lose that damage when we talk about minefield support. So that's like one of the breaking rules there. Charge mines breaks another one of the rules when we compare this to what I want to say is almost closest to like the speed supports. Like I'm thinking like faster casting, I'm thinking faster attacks, but it's still not a super fair comparison, because the speed supports are not damage supports. Charge mine support gives you frenzies and power charges, and those 2 also have additional lines on the support for more scaling. You get throwing speed per frenzy charge and crit chance per power charge on charge mine support. And so not only do they give you things that give you speed, these give you things that give you damage, because power charges and frenzy charges both innately increase your damage output. Then the support itself will also increase your damage output. And then the throwing speed is just throwing speed on top of all of the stuff I just mentioned. It's a very strong support. It's this really strong 4-link core. Then you get into regular support, which does include like trap and mind damage support, which sometimes you run on the top end, which your throwing speed is insane, because that support is also really good, especially in preloading. But you're seeing like the support situation for mind characters never feels like it's at a shortage. There's a lot of builds where I look at the 6th link and I'm like, ugh, I don't like any of my options here. And mines do not feel that way. So that's 2. 3, and I think the one that stands out as far as why you're really seeing miners everywhere, why like mines are especially starting to breach outside of bossing and sanctum, really, automation support. Yeah, I think this is going to get nerfed or removed from the game in some capacity. Going forward, I don't think this is going to be allowed to last. But automation interacting with detonate mines is an extremely broken interaction, because it fixes a weird little bit of jank for miners that has always existed, but is now even better off in your favor than it was before, which is that previously we could left click our detonate mines. And that took away our ability to automate other things, as well as it was a little funky with how like it had to feel in mapping. You were constantly alternating back and forth between left and right click, and little stuff like that. And you still have to have like a standard detonate mines keybind for like if you wanted to detonate mines while like just juicing DPS on a boss. Now that you have automation detonate mines, you don't have to do any of that. You're just a self-cast build. You just walk around and press your button to chuck damage out, but now you chuck so much damage out. And remember, you do more damage. Your shit can go around walls. your shit auto targets, and your shit has what we call like has additional projectiles, quote unquote, in a way that most skills can't get additional projectiles. And you might be thinking, what the fuck do you mean additional projectiles? Remember, we said that every right click throws 5 mines with minefield support, right? If you're throwing 5 mines there, or Locust mine support, you're throwing 3 mines. If you're playing like Lance's setup with the curtain call, you're throwing 2 mines, right? All these different ways of throwing additional mines. What that does is give your skill additional starting points, and so you end up with things like, let's say, like Arc Mine and Exang Mine historically having ridiculous clear because now it's 5 targets getting arced up instead of 1. Or you think about what Arrow's doing right now with Eye Shot of Penetration on his mines for that, and it's a skill that is legitimately limited to 1 projectile now having 5 projectiles to do its thing, or 3 projectiles, however many he chooses to do, right? You get to now add projectiles in places that usually wouldn't actually scale with projectiles. And that's really, really powerful. And you'll notice it took till now for me to mention attacks, and it's because attacks deserve their own subsection here at the end before I close up the video. Talk about the fact that attacks do not see themselves being replaced as often by mines as spells do, because attacks are able to choose their base attack time. You are able to decide that you simply will just use a faster weapon, right? You are able to just craft yourself, say, a thicket bow with a ton of attack speed on it. You know, your imbued wand with a lot of attack speed on it. You're able to get these weapons with 1.8, 1.9 even attack times or attack speeds on them, which gets closer and closer to like 0.55, 0.6 attack time, at which point you are no longer really in need of mines to save your attack speed. And so that's why mines are usually not as used on attacks outside of incredible mechanical interactions that go with it. So again, such as the auto targeting. So where does that leave us with mines? Mines are faster, stronger, comfier than self-cast. And that's the problem. Problem. Again, air quotes. You can decide if that's a problem. Personally, I don't see it as a problem. I see it as something to strive for. Because I think that all GDG really has to do if they want self-cast to come back is stop fucking with our cast times. Stop releasing skills. Like, I remember when Exsanguinate came out and I saw that 0.8 cast time, I was just like, dead on arrival. Not actually dead on arrival, but like, bro, come on. Give it a real cast speed. Start giving skills 0.6 cast times if you want to see people actually casting their fucking spells. The reason people like Impending Doom so much is that its curses are 0.5. Self-cast Dark Pact felt so good because that skill is 0.5. I've played Flame Surge before because it's a base 0.5. Like we want skills that feel good. Like I can get all of these skills that I've named in this video to feel fine damage wise without being put on a mine or a trap or something. But the reality is that it will do good damage, but it won't feel good. It won't feel incredible to play. It won't make me want to put in several 8-hour play sessions on said build because it just does not feel nearly as magical as what mines are doing for us. That's all here for me. This has been a long thought. I tried to make it shorter, y'all, but I literally couldn't because it's a lot of thoughts going into like this one. And again, multiple times of iteration on it, all that good stuff. But if you're right with it this far, I appreciate you. And I'd extend a hand, yet again, if you like this video, which I would hope you liked it, you've made it this far. Liking the video really helps me out. It lets me know that you want to see more than you, especially if you made it all the way to the end. Subscribe if you want to see more of what I do. Comment on the video talking about your experience with mines, your opinions on it, or more importantly, other fixes that you might have in mind for solving the problem. Again, I prefer to tend away from nerfing things down because I think that right now the game is just kind of in a space where more things need to feel good, not things need to feel bad. That's a different video in and of itself, though. If you want to see more of what I do outside of here, I do go live on Twitch sometimes. It's mostly related to events or like league starts or things like that, as I just haven't had the time to really like lean into Twitch streaming the way I want to yet. But I am active in my Discord a lot if you want to come find me there. That link is in the description, same as my Twitch. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I got to get out of here. We got more blasting to do. You already know the deal. Take care. See you guys in the next video. Peace.